Hello fellow freedom builders and welcome back to the channel. My name is Hans Nielsen and today we're going to have a look at a topic that I haven't touched before in any of my videos. We're going to look a bit on day trading because I've got a lot of questions about it. Basically, if you have been following my channel, you know that I am into this slow and steady approach, mostly into stocks, long-term charts, weekly, daily charts. Putting on an investment and then letting it run for weeks or months or maybe even years if the trend keeps going. But I've gotten a lot of questions about this day trading topic, and that is because I am also day trading, and I have been day trading for quite some years now. And then last year I kind of took it a bit down, and I was focusing on building my subscription area here in Denmark on the stock trading part. And then I have taken it up again now because right now it is great time right now to be day trading if you know a little about what you're doing. So volatile markets, big swings up and down. If you know what you're doing, you can make quite a lot of money. So I get a lot of questions in the area of, is day trading for me? Should I start day trading? And well, I can save you a lot of time here because if that is your question and you're just new to investing and you're wondering, should I be day trading? I've been losing money on my stocks for a while now, so maybe I should take it down a time frame and start day trading intraday. If you ask me that, should I start doing that? Then the basic answer is no. And you can stop the video and you shouldn't look any further now. You should not be day trading if you're completely new to investing. However, in this video, I will show you exactly what I do. Well, there are some details I'm not telling you here, and it's not because it's a secret, but because it's quite extensive and there is a lot of material here. But I will show you all the basics of what I'm doing, and then you can start searching for yourself on the internet. There's a lot of great material. There's a lot of free material out there. And I do have a couple of websites, a couple of companies that I would recommend you look at. I have a good friend, Nick, in UK, and he's doing some really great educational products, and they are actually in the very low end as to price. So normally if you are Googling Forex, day trading, something like that, you are getting some really pricey things, and most of it you can actually just find on Google, YouTube, all that stuff. Nick in UK, he's doing some great materials, also have some subscription areas, but there are a couple of places that I would recommend you go to, and well, you can write me a notice and I can give you their names, but this video is not really to promote them, but I can say that the partners I have or the companies that I would recommend, they are companies that are teaching trading kind of the way I do it. And just to give you a quick glance of how I have been doing in these months where the market has been crashing. The good thing with day trading is that you can also short market, so you can also make money when things are going down. Basically, I started tracking my day trading here at the end of January, and there's nothing specific about that date. I just started trading again here in 2020, and a friend of mine said that if I wanted to do myself a favor when I started talking about day trading, I should verify my results so that people would believe me when I said what I was making in progress. So right now, since I think it was the 27th of January, I have made around 15%. This is with a very conservative approach, risking 1% per trade and so on. You can see it here in months. This is from a platform called MyFXBook, where you can ask this website to track your trading, and then you can get some verification on that. So these are my results. But of course, when we're looking at this, it looks kind of great. Now I'm actually in a trade right now, so I should be up above 10% again here in March. But that is an extraordinary result. You should not expect 10% per month. If you have been day trading for a long time and you know a lot of what you're doing, maybe you could go for 4% per month. But even that in some month will be quite optimistic, and you will also have losing months. So things move quicker here, and when the market is really right, you can make some quite significant amounts of money every day or every week or every month. So the good question, of course, is, well, that's kind of great, but how do you do it? Okay, let me give you a quick overview of what I am actually doing when I'm day trading, because most people have this feeling that it is sit down by a screen, look at some charts, find the good setups, take some trades, and then you can drive off in your Ferrari. If you're Googling day trading, you will find a lot of posts showing fancy cars, fancy houses, people with their successful lives. I must be honest and say I know quite a lot of traders. Not many of them are successful day traders, but those that are, I don't recall any of them driving in Ferraris and have big luxury yachts and so on, because day trading is quite time consuming, and the people that really dedicate their time to this, well, they often don't have the time to fool around on a luxury yacht, to be honest. And it also takes quite a lot of money. If you want to day trade, it takes a lot of time, meaning that if you want to do this full time, you cannot have a job on the side. And you can see here in the performance, even though this is actually great performance, then you can try to calculate how much money you would need in your account to be able to make a living out of this. And remember, you should also have a buffer, because sometimes 1, 2 or 3 months in a row you'll be making losses. So actually you should have quite a large account, maybe $100,000 or something like that, before you can even start considering being a full-time day trader. So now already maybe you're thinking, this might not be for me. I've seen plenty of commercials telling people that you can just start out with a $500 or $1,000 and then you can be rich for the rest of your life. That is completely bogus, and you should never believe these guys. If someone could make 100% or 500% each and every month, believe me, he would not be selling courses at $99 or $999, no matter what he's saying. He would be richer than Warren Buffett in just a year or a year and a half. So well, you go figure. Anyway, back to what I am actually doing. What I am doing, and I'm not saying that this is right for everyone, and I'm not saying that this is the way all day traders are making money, but I'm actually doing quite the same as I do when I invest in stocks. I am basically a trend trader. And the reason that I am a trend trader is that the way I think, my mindset, fits perfectly with this trend trading philosophy, where I am actually, imagine a train that is just getting started, a big heavy freight train, and it starts rolling and it's getting a bit more speed and a bit more speed. And I'm looking for trains like that. And when I can see a train that is picking up speed, then I'm grabbing onto it and I'm taking a part of the ride. And when it starts to slow down the speed again, well, then I let go and I find a new train to ride on. That's how I do it. Other people are much more into reversal trading, meaning that they're trying to find the tops and find the bottoms, and I just find that extremely hard. So that is not the way I trade. So I try to find a trade, and I'll give you some examples in a second. Now I'm mostly trading what is called Forex, meaning that is currencies, and a currency is always a pair, meaning that you have two different currencies. That could be, let's say, the mostly used currency pair, the euro dollar, meaning that you're trading the euro against the dollar. So you always have two different currencies in a currency pair, which makes it very difficult, or a bit more work intensive anyway, when you need to do your analysis, because you're not just long in a stock. You're always long in one currency against another, so you're pretty much long one currency and short another. I'll get back to that in a second. I'm also trading a bit of oil, a bit of gold, and a few indices. Could be the German DAX or the Dow Jones. but my main area is the Forex, the currency market. Now, if I find a trend and I make sure I have the right currency pair, then there is a lot about the fundamentals. Are there coming some financial news you should be aware of? Is that supporting your idea of this trade, or is it going against it? And if it goes against it, then you should let the trade go. And then you need to know the overall market regime, and I'll get back to that as well. So let's take it just step by step here, and I'll tell you a bit what I'm doing. Just remember, this might sound very simple, and it actually is. It is not terribly complex, but it takes a lot of time to learn to master it. And when you're day trading, there are also, everything goes faster. I usually say to people asking me if they should learn to day trade, I tell them that if they cannot make money on a weekly chart or daily chart trading stocks, they should not go into day trading, because everything goes faster. And I know it is tempting now that let's say the market now has crashed, and people are looking at the charts and they're looking at, wow, I was trading the weekly charts, that really cost me a lot of money. If I had traded on the daily chart, I could have gotten out earlier. But still, they might have been losing money, so they're going down to 4-hour charts and saying, well, if I just had zoomed down to 4-hour or 1-hour or 15-minute charts, I could have gotten out even faster. And yes, that is correct, but that also means that you don't have the same time to do your research. You have to make your decisions quicker. You are more emotional, so you cannot sleep on it and say, I'll decide tomorrow if I'll go in and out of a trade. This is here, it is now, and you have to decide, and that takes a lot of experience, and you've got to know yourself pretty well. So let's have a look at it. Just remember, don't confuse the two terms simple with the term easy. Simple and easy is not the same. You might be looking at the equation for relativity, the E equals mc square, and saying, well, that looks pretty simple. And it is, until you start to understand how it actually works. Then you will realize it is not easy at all. So the Einstein relativity formula might be simple, but it's not easy. It is the same with day trading. When you hear a day trader, experienced day trader, talking about how he or she does it, it might sound tempting and simple, but that is only until you actually start trading. So yeah, let's have a look at the 4 points here, and there might be some other that I've forgotten, but I might fill that in later. First of all, find the trend. How do I find the trend and on what time frame? Well, let me just show you a chart here. Here we have a currency pair called the dollar-yen, the US dollar versus the Japanese yen. There are 8 main currencies that most currency traders are using, at least in the beginning, and that is the US dollar, it is the Japanese yen, it is the euro, the British pound, the Swiss franc, and then it is the Australian dollar, the New Zealand dollar, and the Canadian dollar. That is the main 8 main pairs, and when you couple them up, it gives you a total of 28 pairs. You can see them here. Australian dollar versus Canadian dollar, Australian dollar versus Swiss franc, and so on and so on. I'll not confuse you with that right now, but that's just to say that is the main market I'm looking at. All right. How do you find a trend? Well, finding a trend is not terribly difficult. You can pretty much just look at a chart and see, well, this is a downtrend, this is an uptrend. Of course, that is always easiest to have a look at when you're looking back in time in the rearview mirror. So right now we can see that the dollar yen is in an uptrend. The question is, will it keep going? And that is what I will try to investigate here in this little description. Finding a trend is not the hard part. There are a billion different trend strategies. And for instance, I've just put a simple RSI on the bottom of the chart here. That is, let me just see here, 21 period here, the RSI. And that could be slower, it could be faster. We could put it at 14 if we wanted to make it a bit faster. And we could just decide that if the dollar yen on a daily chart here is above its 200 period moving average, for instance, and the RSI is above 50, we have decided we are in an uptrend. So now, if we can see that, and that's one of the lessons here, I always use 2 time frames. I find the overall trend and some resistance area and support areas. I find that on the daily chart here, saying that, well, for instance, there is some sort of resistance area here and a former top that we should have a look at, see if it can break that. So I'm finding trends and all of the details here on the daily, and then I'm actually timing my trades here on the 4-hour chart. That is the time frame that I'm using. I have been using 1-hour time frames before, 15, 5 minutes. I've been down trading DAX on a 1 and 2 minute time frame, and it can be done, but it is extremely stressful and hard. Remember, the further down you go in time frame, the more you are competing with the big guys, with the computers, with the high liquidity, high paced frequency trading. If you're going up to daily and 4-hour time frames, you're not competing as much with these really fast guys. So I want to be on a field where I am not overmatched compared to my components here in the market. So basically right now we are saying that the dollar yen, well, that isn't an uptrend if this is how we define it. And we can take a look at the 4-hour chart and say, yes, we are in an uptrend. Maybe the RSI is turning up, or we are seeing a pin bar in the in the candlesticks, or whatever we're looking for. And I can tell you right now, I am long this trade. I'm not too worried about this top here, and I think I can get some good profit here. So let's see how that pans out just while I'm taping the video here. So this is a trend, and you could use moving averages, you could use the indicator MACD, you could just use price action looking at the chart, you could use volume profiles, or you could use a gazillion different strategies. There's not really any right or wrong here. But when you have found something that looks good, then we actually come to what I call my secret. And it's not really a secret, but it is a part of trading currencies that many traders forget. And that is, let's just see here, make sure you pair the right currencies. Now, what do I mean by the right currencies? How do I know that the dollar and the yen is the right? Well, remember that when I am long dollar yen, that actually means that I want the dollar to be strong and the yen to be weak. So when I go long dollar yen, I want everybody in the market wanting to buy US dollars. And I want pretty much everyone in the market to be looking at selling yen. Because then the pair, the dollar yen, the dollar would overall over the entire market be stronger and stronger and stronger, and the Japanese yen would be pushed down and be weaker and weaker and weaker. And there are different ways to see how this is, which one of the currencies are actually the strongest. I've done something here in TradingView. I have made different watch lists out here, and for instance, I have the let's just see the dollar group. And here, I have taken all the pairs. Normally you would say the euro dollar, but I have turned them around. So I have chosen the dollar euro, the dollar pound, the dollar Swiss, the dollar Australian dollar, dollar Canadian dollar, dollar yen, and dollar New Zealand dollar. And then I can have a look at these and saying, well, the dollar compared to the euro, that is quite strong actually. The dollar compared to the pound is also very strong. I'm primarily looking here at the daily chart right now. How about the dollar compared to the Swiss? Wow, that is also strong. What about the Aussie, the Australian dollar, the Canadian dollar, the yen, and the New Zealand dollar? Wow, the dollar is actually strong towards all of these when you're looking at the overall trend. So the dollar seems to be a strong currency. Well, then let's compare it to the yen, the Japanese yen. And this one might not be terrible weak towards all of them, at least, because We have been in a period, and I'll get back to that in a second when we're talking about the market regime, but we have been in a regime right now where people ran towards the safe haven, and that is Japanese yen for one of them. So we might actually see that the yen, but compared to the dollar, the yen is weak. It is a bit muddy towards the euro. It is strong towards some of the what is called the commodity currencies here. That is the oil based. Towards the Swiss it is a bit muddy, and the pound it is strong. So as you can see, the yen is not the weakest of the currencies, but it is the weakest of the currencies where I could find a good setup for this video. So I chose the yen, but I could easily have chosen something like, let me guess, something like the Australian dollar, where I have a suspicion. Let's just have a look. Here you can see the Australian dollar is weak towards the US dollar. It is weak here, it is weak here and here. So the Australian dollar is very influenced by the oil price. And since the oil has been dropping heavily over the last weeks or so, actually since New Year, then the Australian dollar is very weak. So that could have been another one we could have looked at, but right now it is the dollar yen. So that's just to say that I have all of these, the Australian dollar group, then I have the Canadian group where I put the Canadian in front of everything here, and so on, meaning that I can quickly go through these entire groups where I have the Canadian dollar first, or the group with the Swiss dollar, so the Swiss franc first, to get a quick overview, a quick glance on a certain currency as to if it is overall strong or weak towards all of the others. So I'm trying to pair one of the strongest with one of the weakest currencies. And let's just go back here. My secret, make sure you pair the right currencies. And one of my secrets, it's not really a secret, but it is, as I said, something that most traders forget, is that they fall in love with a setup, some sort of long or short setup, and then they forget to make sure that it is the right strength, one very strong and one very weak currency that they are actually pairing up together in this trade. All right. If we take a look at we have found a trend, we have made sure that it is a right currency pair, that it is mixed in the right way. Then you need to check the fundamentals. And normally I use the website MyFXBook, but there are a ton of different websites that shows these numbers. I can just show you here live. I have the MyFXBook here, and I know this can seem a bit confusing, but here you have all the flags. You can see what countries are in play here. You can see if it is the impact, it says if it is low, medium or high. That means how this news that comes out, how much it influences the price of the country's currency. For instance, the building permits is something that can show something about economical activity in a country. And we can see that previous in United States that we're giving 1.55 million building permits. And the consensus among the analysis was that they were thinking it would drop a bit to 1.5 million building permits. And that is month on month. You could also have year on year. But it was actually even lower than that. And that can influence the currency price. You can also see we have some interest rate decisions here. We have the GDP numbers, how much growth there is in the economies in a country. And basically, there are a ton of different things you can be looking for here. I've just written some of them down. You want to look for job numbers. You want to look for inflation numbers, retail sales, GDP growth, and overall interest rates. Interest rate is the king among these numbers because, as a rule of thumb, if the interest rate drops in a country, that will also make the currency of the country drop. If the interest rate goes up, then the currency will go up. That is not completely true always, but that is the rule of thumb. right now we have a regime in the market where pretty much all countries are are cutting down interest rates, and that is due to this illness from China. It is an oil price war. It is a potential upcoming recession. All sorts of stuff. People want, or the countries around the world wants to put some juice into the economy, and they do that by lowering their rates. So when everybody does it, of course, it mixes up the picture a bit, and it is a bit harder. But in a normal environment where the economy is just chugging along, then if one country all of a sudden cuts their interest rates, then that would make that currency weaker, and it would have a tendency of falling. So all of these fundamentals are something that, as a day trader or a longer term trader in the Forex market, you should know exactly what is coming up. Every single morning you should prepare yourself and see what is coming up today and tomorrow. What can I expect? If, for instance, the analysts are expecting the United States to bump their interest rates up, well, does that support my long dollar yen trade, or does that go against it? And all of this should be computed in your head before you start trading, and you should analyze this and say, what are the big macroeconomic picture? You need to know this. If you are just trading blindly in the market, only looking at charts, I'm a big fan of charts, but if you're only looking at charts and you have no idea what currencies are the strongest and the weakest, and you have no idea what the fundamentals are, the job numbers, the expectations, and so on, well, then you are pretty much doomed to go bankrupt, in my opinion. But of course, there might be someone out there just purely looking at charts making money, and that is good for them. It doesn't really work for me just looking at charts. I need to know all of the surrounding environment as well. The last thing is you want to know your market regime, meaning that you need to follow the news. You need to know what kind of market am I trading into. For instance, right now we have this price war going on oil, and that is due to that the United States have been producing shale oil for a number of years now, and they have pretty much destroyed the power that OPEC and OPEC Plus had. So now that when OPEC are reducing the number of barrels produced per day because they want the oil price to go up, then United States pretty much just produce the same or even more. So they are kind of taking advantage of the rest of the world's oil producers. So right now, Saudi Arabia and Russia, they are running some sort of oil price war, and maybe they're actually also targeting United States, trying to push the oil price down so that they can kind of destroy at least some of the oil industry in the United States. You want to keep track on this, because first of all, if you're trading oil, you want to know all about this, but also primarily Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, and Canadian dollar are very much affected by the movements in the price or in the oil market. So if the oil market all of a sudden drops, then you should certainly not be long in, for instance, Australian dollar, because that would pretty much also drop. You want to know if it is a risk on or risk off environment, meaning that if people are very nervous, as they have been for a while, well, then you want to you want to be long in markets where people are going to have their money in safe haven. For instance, the Japanese yen, the Swiss franc, and also actually the US dollars are pretty much places where money run to when they are when the markets are nervous and volatile. And that means that in the last weeks here, these have been currencies you wanted to be long in. But for instance, right now I took a long in dollar yen, and that is because the dollar is very strong. But you can also see that it is kind of like the stock market has bottomed out. And at least there are some positivity, at least short-term positivity, going into the market today, Friday, the 20th of March. I'm not sure it will stay that way, because the numbers from the illness from China is actually, the numbers are going up in the United States. So I think that there will be some risk, some nervousness coming into the market again. But right now, it is kind of like the markets are just breathing and saying, that was it for now. So they are leaving at least the Japanese yen and the Swiss franc, and let's see if my long dollar yen can profit from that. You need to know of the gold market, where's that going? You need to know about the geopolitical issues. Is there a trade war going on? How is that affecting the currencies market? You need to know if there are big G7, G8, G20 meetings that can move something. You need to follow the news so you know what can actually move the market. You need to know if we have a potential recession lowering just around the corner, and all of these things you have to put into a big macro picture, knowing what sort of regime you are you're investing into. And when you know that, and that takes a lot of time, when you know that, and you know your fundamentals, and you watch them every day, and you know what kind of pairs would be the strongest and the weakest, well, then you can sit down and you can start to find your trend, and you can say, now I've got a good long setup. Does that match with the entire picture I have of the entire market? That's basically what I do every single day when I'm day trading. The good thing here is that I do this already when I am investing in stocks, because I also want to know what kind of sectors could move right now. If we're moving into a recession, are there certain sectors that could be stronger or weaker? So I'm comparing this to all I see in the stock market and in the ETFs and the sectors, and I'm trying every single day a lot of hours to get this overall helicopter view, zoom out of the market. And then I'm diving down and saying, with the knowledge I have here and with the picture, what would that support? What kind of trades would that support right now in stocks, in ETFs, in commodities, in Forex? And I hope that from this you're getting a picture that this is not easy. This is not just sitting 10 minutes in front of your screen, making a quick 100 pips, and that is $1,000, and then you can go on to your Ferrari and your luxury yacht. It is not even close. And every time you see someone flashing Rolexes and yachts and Ferraris on the internet, telling you that they could teach you how to trade Forex or day trade or something like that, you could in 99.9% of the cases assume automatically that that is a fraud and a scam. Because if you need to flash Rolexes and fast cars, then I have not seen many of the participants in the markets that combine fast cars with day trading. I must admit that. They might be out there, definitely. But I don't know anyone personally. So that is kind of it. So if you ask me, how do I day trade? I do not have a simple question. This is the overall picture. And of course, there are a million different nuances. And I have been doing this for, a decade or more now. So if you're interested, if you think I want to explore this a bit more, as I said, I have a couple of companies that I have big faith in, that they deliver a good service, and I know that they're trading for themselves. That's also an important aspect, of course, that they're not just teachers, but they're also doing it themselves. And you can just write me a note. I'll put my email below here, and you can write me and I can send you in the right direction. But I'm not affiliated with any of them, and it is just to make sure that if any of you want to pursue this, then you are getting some of the right training for a start at least. So it is a long journey, and you should not expect to be profitable from day one. All right, that's it. If you haven't done already, and if you like the content here, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and all that stuff down below. That's it for now. And I will get back to my screen. I'm 100% in cash as for what stocks, regarding stock, and I'm only trading a bit of Forex just to make sure that I'm making a bit of money on these crazy markets these days. All right, that's it for now. Take care of your money out there, and remember, if you're new, you should not day trade. That's it for now. Talk to you again soon. Bye.